Hello, dear friends. Yesterday, Saturday, such an avalanche of information came in that I didn't have time to summarize it. We are in a period of lethargy and reflection with the entry of Saturn and Neptune in Aries. Opinion piece: Geopolitical upheaval, Saber-rattling, war is delayed, evil is not in the plan, end of global conflicts, the mocking press is paid, reconfiguring the Middle East, the days of darkness are numbered. Let's start. A major geopolitical upheaval is brewing that marks a decisive turning point in world history, according to the Galactic Press team. A complete reconfiguration of the Middle East, once the counterpiece of globalist expansion plans, is taking shape under the impetus of a new vision. This region, strategic due to its position, was destined to be reshaped by forces seeking to dominate Eurasia through key points like Ukraine and Syria, following ancient geopolitical doctrines that attribute immense power to those who control the heart of the world. These plans, based on a strategy of expansion and conflict, sought to awaken neighboring nations and steer them toward new centers of power. However, an unexpected counteroffensive has refined the world map. Eurasia has stabilized. Ukraine will not join the Western military alliance, and the Middle East is experiencing a budding peace, contradicting the initial ambitions of an imposed world order. This upheaval is accompanied by an unprecedented economic and diplomatic stabilization, massive investments amounting to colossal sums are strengthening ties between the nations of this region and the forces orchestrating this change. These initiatives, driven by a vision of prosperity and technology rather than war, emerge from within, far from any imposed external intervention. A notable aspect of this transformation is the exclusion of a key player, One Central, now perceived as an obstacle due to its inflexible decisions. This disconnect has resulted in a foreign policy that ignores it, favoring direct alliances with other nations, celebrated through symbolic gestures and mutual homage. This approach puts an end to decades of tension and paves the way for peaceful coexistence. At the national level, a strategy of attention is being deployed that highlights the challenges of Western regions, particularly Europe, now caught in the grip of these new balances. Where globalist forces had planned total domination through aligned leaders and orchestrated crisis, they now find themselves on the defensive, their expansion halted. While cosmic energies demand collective uplift, this geopolitical upheaval invites introspection. It urges us to recognize our inner light, to overcome the illusions of division, and to contribute to global harmony, where peace and conscience prevail over control and domination. The evil has been delayed. The imminent evil focuses on what happens to the bigwigs of the Middle East, who are determined to attack Iran, and also on what the weak are planning to blackmail Russia with their maneuvers related to Ukraine conflict. But a small change has also entered the evil: Pakistan and India, also including China and Taiwan. Saber-rattling. According to Steve Biko, it won't be for the bad guys this time. Maybe next time. Things are getting really serious with all the international saber-rattling going on. Blossom Gottchild said in 2020, This is going to get a lot more topsy-turvy. Nuclear war won't happen, and talk of it is meant to instill fear. However, Salusa of Syria also assured in 2015 that there are limits to how far the duck will be allowed to go. In quotes. Subjugation by the duck is not part of the plan for the end times, as you have earned the right to ascend, and your free will be respected. The duck can only go so far as their karma is concerned, before we stop them. That is easy enough for us with our advanced technology, and not a drop of blood would be shed. They will not have to endure the activities of the duck much longer, as their days are numbered. An accurate analogy for the coalition's position at this moment would be a circle of warriors playing the tom-toms, all focused, some of them waking up their courage and scaring their enemies, and some of them just pretending for a different reason. The pretending part is theatrical, to avoid a civil conflict. The real part is there to separate the dark side from its levers of power and hold them accountable. Ezra Cohen Watnick recalled, in quotes, "If you pay attention and listen to what I've told you, you'll laugh. If you watch the mocking media, you'll cry. The mocking press is paid for. However, the point is that the part visible to the public is almost all theatrics, showing what the dark forces want and will do. Many people refuse to wake up. Not even brandishing so-called nuclear weapons or threatening a third world party would solve this, but 10 days of broadcasts would, and those who don't wake up will embark on a different timeline." Breaking news. President Trump used the words gold standard in a new May 23rd White House executive order called Restoring the Science of the Gold Standard. Could this be the code for the return of the gold standard currency and a global financial reset? Stay tuned. President Trump criticized South African President Ramaphosa for the mass killings of white farmers and showed him photos of the cemeteries of more than 1,000 white farmers. James Comer, meanwhile, is organizing an investigation into the widespread signing of presidential documents with an automatic pen during the Biden presidency. X22 report. President Trump has been ordered by the Supreme Court to restructure the Fed, dismantling it piece by piece. He also informs the UK that it must move away from the green agenda. Germany and New Zealand have already begun to do so. A judge states that the tariffs are authorized by the Emergency Powers Act. We are on the brink, and the swamp is fighting back. The creatures of the dark side are fighting back in full force. People are realizing that isn't what they voted for. This is the calm before the storm. New cycle. Saturn and Neptune entered Aries on May 24th, according to Natalia Alba. This entry marks a new cycle of tests, learning, and restructuring that will impact both the individual and collective levels. Saturn in Aries will be of great help in helping us balance our ego, since becoming sovereign does not imply using our personal power for egoic purposes or control mechanisms, but rather standing firm in our light, allowing it to transform what can be transmuted without using force. manipulation or control. Toro's opinion. Bull. Opinion of Bull. This is a nickname. In quotes. Not just the number, not just fireworks. They choose a year to unroll something, wrapped in flags, whispered through parades. It begins on a day for the memorial. It ends on a day for the free. And in between, movements, military choreography, old systems creaking, new ones whirring beneath the noise. Trump signs the paper. The clock starts ticking. The 4th of July isn't a finish line. It's a launching pad. The Treasury moves differently. The Fed breathes shallowly. The people tired, awake, ready. This doesn't feel like a celebration. It feels like a reset disguised as a birthday. But not the gold kind, not dystopia. Something cleaner, something older than the buildings of Washington, older than the ink of the Constitution. Like it's back, the soul of the country is online. Silently, deliberately, beautifully. Curious. Pope Leo XIV and the Vatican will lead the official disclosure of the existence of visitors from the stars, according to Dr. Michael Salla. MAGA politicians are leading the UFO disclosure, but the public thinks it's a distraction. Kerry Cassidy's latest article analyzes the idea of an alien invasion and an AI takeover, pessimistic as ever. If a mass UFO hoax were possible, it would have already happened, according to Kapamur. The cabal wouldn't wait until everyone in the world knew about Project Bluebeam. Not only is this unrealistic in the internet age, but the Galactic Federation would never allow it. There are still lies about UFOs, but the deceptions are on your devices, not in the real world. Our daily challenges will continue until the change, but we will be freed from global cataclysms and massive UFO hoaxes. There are galactic ships in our skies, and always have been. There is no UFO threat. The Federation is in control. David Wilcox's analysis of the pineal gland provides many insights into its primary functions and how it relates to dreams, visions, and the third eye. In many cuneiform texts, an Anunnaki is depicted holding a pine cone alongside his human creations. Josh Cavasilas believes the Anunnaki created the pineal gland as a means of controlling humankind through which dreams, vision, etc. directly fit into a divine matrix. They manage to turn light into a supersolid that flows like a liquid. A group of physicists have managed to transform beams of light into a supersolid state, a form of matter that combines the structure of a solid with the ability to flow like a liquid. Anthropic's latest AI model threatened engineers with blackmail to avoid shutdown, threatening to expose personal details if it was shut down. The engineer overseeing the replacement was having an extramarital affair. The AI threatened to reveal the engineer's affair if the shutdown continued. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.